Hi, Kathleen. Thank you for joining us today on your virtual faith trek. I hope you enjoy the trip. Today, we're going to learn about a parable. Do you know what a parable is? A parable is a story that has something secret or hidden about it. Something that maybe you don't understand right away, almost like a riddle or a puzzle. Sometimes the parables that Jesus told, he explained, and sometimes he didn't. Sometimes the people that really understood the parable were the disciples and the ones that had extra special knowledge. Parables were meant to keep some knowledge secret so that you had to work hard and think about it, or you had to already understand something that Jesus had said. Today's parable that we're going to look at is from the Gospel of Matthew, from chapter 25, verses 14 to 30. And this story, it's kind of lengthy, but it's about a man who had 3 servants, and he gave them money. And what they did with it is really the point of the story. So let's take a listen together.
The Word of God.
Matthew 25, 14 to 30. A story about 3 servants. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who was going to another place for a visit. Before he left, he talked with his servants. The man told them to take care of his things while he was gone. He decided how much each servant would be able to care for. He gave one servant 5 bags of money. He gave another servant 2 bags of money, and he gave a third servant 1 bag of money. Then the man left. The servant who got 5 bags went quickly to invest the money. The 5 bags of money earned 5 more. It was the same with the servant who had 2 bags of money. He invested the money and earned 2 more. But the servant who got 1 bag of money went out and dug a hole in the ground. Then he hid his master's money in the hole. After a long time, the master came home. He asked the servants what they did with his money. The servant who got 5 bags of money brought 5 more bags to the master. The servant said, "Master, you trusted me to care for 5 bags of money, so I used your 5 bags to earn 5 more." The master answered, "You did well. You're a good servant who can be trusted. You did well with the small things, so I will let you care for much greater things. Come and share my happiness with me." Then the servant who got 2 bags of money came to the master. The servant said, "Master, you gave me 2 bags of money to care for, so I used your 2 bags to earn 2 more." The master answered, "You did well. You're a good servant who can be trusted. You did well with small things, so I will let you care for much greater things. Come and share my happiness with me." Then the servant who got 1 bag of money came to the master. The servant said, "Master, I knew you were a hard man. You harvest things you did not plant. You gather crops where you do not sow any seed. So I was afraid. I went and hid your money in the ground. Here is the bag of money you gave me." The master answered, "You are a bad and lazy servant. You say you knew that I harvest things I did not plant, and that I gather crops where I did not sow any seed. So you should have put my money in the bank. Then when I came home, I would get my money back with interest." So the master told his other servants, "Take the bag of money from that servant and give it to the servant who has 10 bags of money. Everyone who uses what he has will get more. He will have much more than he needs. But the one who does not use what he has will have everything taken away from him. Then the master said, "Throw that useless servant outside into the darkness. There people will cry and grind their teeth with pain."
Things that make you think.
Well, what did you think about that story? Interesting, wasn't it? Wasn't it kind of strange that the servant that had 10 bags ended up taking the bag of money from the servant that only had one, that had buried it? What do you think about the servant that buried the money? What would you have done? Would you have tried to invest it? Would you have tried to risk losing the money in order to get more? If you knew that the servant master was going to be angry and upset that you lost his money, what would you do? Sometimes in parables, we're meant to try and see things in a different way. Understand that the people in the parable are not really the people Jesus is talking about, but people in the world around them. Sometimes some people think that the master in this story is God, and that God gives us good things. Sometimes people think that the servants are like us. They're the people who receive good things from God. Sometimes it's hard to know. And sometimes parables have more than one meaning. So it's not just about one thing. It could be many things. What do you think about this story?
Exploring the word in the world.
Did you have time to think about who you would be in this parable? I'd like you to get a pen and a piece of paper. I'd like you to take a moment to list all of the things that are a blessing in your life. Everything you can think of. I can wait. Might take you a while. Did you get it all listed? It's amazing when you stop and think about all the blessings we have in our lives, isn't it? Did you include everything? Things like a house and food and air to breathe and clean water to drink? Did you include the people that take care of you, that love you? Did you include the fancy things that you might have in your life? Big things like snowboards or skates, or really big things like an Xbox or a PlayStation or a computer. We all have different blessings in our lives. Some of them are really big and some of them are really small. How do you use the blessings that you have in your life? For example, if you have a PlayStation, do you invite other people to your house to play games that don't have one of their own? If you're lucky to be able to have enough food to eat, do you remember to share what you have with others? If you're blessed to have people in your life that love you, do you try and love other people? I think that this is what this parable is about. It's trying to remind us that we have been given good things. And so, because we have been given good things, we have to do what we can to try and make an abundance of blessings, not just for ourselves, but for others. We have to take what we've been given and multiply it, and then give it away. Share the blessing with each other. So when you think about the blessings in your life, how could you make them greater? And then how could you share them? What are some of the blessings that you've been given by God? Things like love and grace and being forgiven when you make mistakes. How can you make these things bigger and give them to others? How can you give God's love abundantly to the world around you? Something to think about.